At the foothills of the Himalayas, Nepal has long been admired for its stunning landscapes and its calm, almost timeless pace of life.
They just wanted to
Yet in early September
They literally shot the kid in
2025,
the head.
this peaceful image suddenly gave way to global headlines. What began as what looked like a routine administrative restriction, the blocking of 26 online platforms, quickly spiraled out of control. With Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, and X shut down, only TikTok remained active. What followed was an eruption. The streets of Kathmandu filled with thousands of furious young people. For Nepal's youth, who have grown up with social media as a tool for learning, networking, and chasing opportunities, the blackout was more than an inconvenience. It felt like an attack on their way of life. Anger boiled over, and city squares turned into seas of chanting, restless crowds. Al Jazeera captured scenes of thousands storming the streets on day one, voices rising in unison, feet pounding in rage. Even when the ban was lifted, the fury didn't fade. It merged with deeper frustrations, years of corruption, rising living costs, and shrinking job opportunities. Protests turned violent. At least 19 people were killed, hundreds injured, and public institutions across the country attacked or destroyed. This movement was led by Generation Z, Nepalese born between 1997 and 2012, who are voicing decades of disappointment about inequality, lost opportunities, and a government that no longer listens. When some protesters tried to storm the parliament building, police were forced to retaliate, and the government declared a curfew. But clashes had already spread. Residences of President Ram Chandra Paudel, Communications Minister Priyanka Subagudung, Energy Minister Deepak Khadka, and Finance Minister Bisu Paudel were all targeted. Former Prime Ministers Kamal Dahan and Sher Bahadur Dubba also saw their homes attacked. A shocking viral video showed Foreign Minister Azure Dubba, 63, wiping blood from her face while filming the chaos, only to be kicked and beaten by the mob. Her husband, former Prime Minister Sergei Borodai, sat dazed in the crowd, bloodied and helpless, waiting for the army to rescue him as their home was destroyed. Finance Chief Bisu Parasat Paudel, 65, was chased down in the street and beaten unconscious. Elsewhere, the home of ex-Prime Minister Jalana Kano was besieged and set on fire. His wife, Ratsia Lakmichijaka, suffered fatal burns despite emergency treatment. In the wake of this unrest, Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli was forced to resign, creating a power vacuum that Reuters warned would be hard for regional powers to ignore. Nepal has once again become the center of attention, not only because of the chaos, but also because of its critical geopolitical position. Wedged between India to the south and China to the north, Nepal has long depended on India for trade, transport, and fuel, while also deepening economic ties with China through belt and road projects. The Hindu noted that Nepal is a strategic buffer state, where India wants to preserve its traditional influence, while China seeks new pathways into South Asia. Every crisis in Nepal, therefore, becomes another move on the regional chessboard. History reinforces this point. In 2015, after Nepal adopted a new constitution, a months-long border blockade left goods scarce and fueled public anger. Many Nepalis believed India had covertly pressured Kathmandu to protect the Madhesi community's interests. Such memories remind leaders that any decision today risks upsetting either New Delhi or Beijing. India's main goal is to secure friendly governments on its borders, while China sees Nepal as an entry point for railways, hydropower, and telecom corridors linking Tibet to South Asia. Meanwhile, the West, though less directly invested, watches closely, emphasizing democracy and human rights. BBC analysts downplayed theories of US or European orchestration, saying there is little sign of direct foreign involvement. For now, the root causes remain internal: censorship, corruption, economic hardship, and a loss of public trust. Still, experts warn that in South Asia, external influence often comes not through armies, but through loans, aid, media campaigns, or conditional financial support. The protests may not have been foreign-made, but outside powers will certainly try to shape what comes next. Nepali analysts stress the need to track capital flows into youth organizations, coordinated information campaigns, sudden aid packages with strings attached, or foreign advisors quietly embedded in government offices. These are the telltale signs of outside influence. While there's no evidence that the unrest was staged by external powers, there's little doubt that nations will try to leverage the fallout for their own agendas. The BBC observed that movements sparked by local grievances rarely stay untouched by larger geopolitical rivalries. To escape the cycle of violence and instability, Nepal's government must look beyond quick fixes and confront the deeper problems tearing society apart. The first step is building an open dialogue with citizens, especially the young generation that feels ignored. Regular public forums that bring youth leaders, academics, entrepreneurs, and civil society into the conversation could both diffuse anger and help policymakers understand real social needs. At the same time, Nepal must commit to transparent political reforms. Independent audits of public spending, especially large infrastructure projects long suspected of corruption, should be published, and officials found guilty must be held accountable. Without this, public trust will continue to collapse. Equally urgent is tackling unemployment. Over 60% of Nepal's population is of working age, yet many lack stable jobs. Instead of relying so heavily on remittances from overseas workers, Nepal should invest in high-tech agriculture, sustainable tourism, and renewable energy industries with strong job potential. Free training and subsidies would help young people gain skills relevant to a modern economy. Improved public services are also essential. When citizens see better schools, hospitals, and social safety nets, their trust in the state will rise. Reducing the wealth gap and bridging the rural-urban divide will help stabilize the country in the long run. Internationally, Nepal needs a balanced foreign policy, asserting independence while skillfully leveraging aid. By working with multilateral institutions like the World Bank, ADB, and the UN, Nepal can secure resources without falling into overdependence on any single country. Finally, strengthening independent media is vital. Free, transparent journalism helps citizens trust information and shield society from rumors and disinformation. A robust press also holds leaders accountable, reducing corruption. Nepal now stands at a crossroads. The furious footsteps of its young people are both a protest against stagnation and a demand for change. For India, China, and the West, Nepal is a contested chessboard. But for Nepalists themselves, the real question is whether this upheaval can lead to reforms that restore trust, stability, and hope before outside powers decide the country's future for them.